Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Medarot update show. I'm A Timothy, and I'm also joined by our resident Medarot expert, Kura.
Thanks again for having me, friend. It's always great to be here.
Yeah, sorry about last week. We kinda was both. Well, we weren't feeling well. Let's just say.
Yeah, we none of us were really feeling up to snuff last week, and thankfully there wasn't too much really to go over, so we didn't quite miss out on a lot, but we did miss not having a show last week.
Well, we didn't miss the what's his name? Jishen. I can't.
Sheetan.
Shiden. Yeah, Shiden. The Shiden super battle event, which was just basically White Clan making
Yep.
a big mess of Go Battle World, and Shiden just continuously apologizing to you know who the
Oh,
to Henry, of course.
well, it does. Well, it's kind of par for the course. So at least Sheetan was at least good natured and apologetic over it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So we kind of missed that, but let's just go through over the information anyway. Oh yeah, we also have. Oh yeah, I forgot. We also got the Project Rising Beetle Discord Orimeda contest.
Yes, we've actually got a lot of wonderful entries so far in the contest, but now that we're coming up on the end of the month, we're now technically under the I'm probably not going to say 48-hour, but more like 60-hour countdown until the contest ends. So if you perhaps have something that you'd like to submit as an entry to be possibly considered as a winner or a runner-up or something or whatever else, um, feel free to join the Discord. Links will be in the stream a little later on. We would love to see what you have.
Actually, anyway, let's start. So so last week we had White Clan, Spectre, Pretty Prime, and Windclap for four gachas all at the same time.
Right. Well, they
We
well they
got
spaced they spaced Windclap and White Glen for 2 weeks, so it makes sense those two were still there.
mm, plus we had the event giving them their booster also.
Right.
So White Clan,
Overall, it was definitely a busy week for gachas.
yep, too too many gachas, not enough rubies.
Oh,
So
most indeed.
White Glen has, just in case you need a reminder, White Glen has Guard Boost, Charge Blade, Hammer, and Rush for the legs. He's
Very
like,
solid for melee nukers.
I wouldn't say he's that powerful though. At level
Well,
60, he didn't really do much damage. He's like, how to put it? He's not doing as much damage as the Gatling guns that I have. Like even
yeah, by
Arcado's
by
Gatling
himself.
gun is doing like 1,000 damage at level 60. He's doing
Yeah,
about 600, even less
yeah,
actually. So it's like,
right. By
this is a
himself, yeah,
buff.
White
This is a
Glen.
debuff.
Yeah, by himself, White Glen actually isn't super great when it comes to nuking. However, the rush ability on his legs actually does make up for it. Because it checked for the when you're targeting an opponent, what rush does is that it checks the number of melee parts between you and them. And if you have more melee parts equipped, you get a passive buff to your base power and success.
And
So if you build a pure melee nuker, you could get a little extra power buff just by targeting folks that have little or no melee parts equipped.
the only problem is that for the event, most of the bots have melee parts, except one.
Yep, that
So
does make
that
it kind
didn't
of tricky. And
really
if
help at all.
yeah, and plus since I usually dominate with shoot nukers, he was piling on all the extra damage on me. I can actually confirm though, because my new melee nuker that I've been building actually is using his legs and his hammer. Because with my very last pull of the banner, I got lucky and pulled White Glen.
Ooh,
His
nice.
hammer actually, I mean, contrary to what I usually say about hammers, saying AOE's aren't super great because they spread the damage too thin, and it's still correct. However, after using White Glens and raising it to level 90, because I wanted my melee nuker to be a little more rounded out, his hammer actually isn't bad. I mean, it's definitely there's definitely better attacks out there for sure, but his is definitely nothing to sneeze at either.
Hmm. I guess
Charge
for
Blade,
thousands
I don't.
against.
Yeah,
I mean, like it can
yeah,
consistently do like the 4K damage on all parts. You know, one pointer
yeah.
to each part. I guess it's a
Well,
plus.
it probably wasn't helping either that I also had Deathlock on board, which so I was probably consistently clocking 5 to 7K,
Hmm. Oh, okay.
but overall it was still pretty solid.
Yep. Next we have Spectre in the pickup gacha. I mean, in the spotlight gacha. So that means you can get him at any time you want. Well, starting now, obviously. He has hold, hold, and hold, and his legs is Mirage, which grants conceal every time you use your Metaforce. I mean, you
which
charge your
makes
Metaforce.
which for a ghost makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. Not hold his stats aren't particularly good though, so probably just a skip. Besides his
Yeah,
novelty look and returning from Medarot 2.
yeah, he definitely had that unique look about him, especially from the days of M2. The ability is definitely fitting for someone of his motif, but yeah, hold is iffy, I guess. I mean, you can make use
Nah,
of
it's
it
just
if
his
you know how
stats.
to. Yeah, but it's definitely on the lesser. It's definitely on the lesser end of abilities and and elements that you want to make use of. You'd faster make use of things like shock, freeze, and virus faster than you would wave or hold.
Yep, next we got Pretty Prime, which I think is a decent defender with Mirror Guard for the head and Guard and Freeze for the arms.
Pretty
Her legs
Prime
is
was
Dead and Alive, which grants stat ups on the legs on critical hits.
Pretty Prime is she's an all right kit. I won't say she's the best out there, but she definitely has a unique enough kit that if you were asked to use her, you could do it relatively decently and not have too much of an issue. Now,
Yeah,
I'm not really a big fan of using regular guard because generally the goal is to take as little damage as possible in fights or null as much damage as you can. Mirror Guard is definitely something to consider, though, which does put her back up a little bit higher on the spectrum because she can completely reflect shooting attacks.
yep,
And in some battles, that might be a very, very useful trick. Freeze, you can generally never go wrong with, so you always have that one to assist you with. Dead and Alive definitely makes it easy, especially because she has an attack that makes it easy for her to crit.
mm, yep, which makes her, which I mean, makes use of her leg ability.
It'll
Free,
definitely come in
yeah,
handy.
yep, definitely, because freeze lets you crit when frozen, at least a higher chance to
Absolutely.
crit.
Yes.
And finally, we had Wind Clap, which is a Griffin type Medarot with Disruption Clear, Rifle, Claw, and All Rounder, which grants a passive leg speed if all parts of a passive leg, yeah, a passive boost leg speed if all parts are different types.
And just to reiterate it further again, his kit is actually very solid and very dependable, both for veterans and for newbies alike. Just because of the fact that his kit is so spread as as a hybrid between shooting melee and a very good healing art. But also because his leg ability also expounds on that and requires it. But if you build it in a way, you can make full use of it either as a pure set or as a mixed set, and generally never go wrong.
Yeah, I kind of preferred it when I swapped the head with an actual heal rather than a disruption clear.
Right, yeah.
Because like
And
some of the battles I wasn't getting ailments at all, so that's basically useless.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And what's nice about that though is if you use Wind Clap as a pure set, um, it's I'm not going to say it's tricky, but it's definitely going to be a little bit of a brain teaser to kind of find the proper metal based on what you're using, because you have to use all three of the metal skills, and it has to be compatible with the biped leg.
Hmm.
Now, if you're planning to spread his parts out across different bots, that's a different story, and you have a little bit more of a little you have a little bit more breathing room in how you put the build together. But
Yeah.
as a pure set by himself, you can generally never, if you have a good metal form, and if I recall correctly without looking at the details, I think the mantis metal is literally a perfect fit for him because it
Hmm.
has healing, shooting, melee, and a biped leg, all as compatible skills. You generally cannot go wrong with him as a pure set, and that also in a game where using mixed sets to get exactly what you're looking for is your meta, to have a kit by himself as a pure set, have such a balanced kit like his is, I'm not going to say it's unheard of, but it's uncommon.
Hmm. And just a reminder, you can get the Praying Mantis medal by completing Season 1, Chapter 15 of the story. So next up, we have... Come on, next slide. Oh yeah. So the leg abilities for last week, we know Pretty Prime with Dead and Alive, Yellow Creek, which was the event reward, straight. Oh yeah, have you had a go with Yellow Creek yet? Speaking of which, I mean we've been teased him for quite a while, but now we finally got him. We have
Yes, and
Duke
it actually
Control,
it's
Bug, and Straight, which passively boosts success on all parts.
and it's nice to have a leg ability that also that isn't a conditional buff too. It's a nice refreshing view. Although although for Yellow Crick, I kind of wish it was a little more. It would actually have motivated me a little more to consider using the set even for extra bonus points in the special event.
I don't know, I kinda liked him. I mean, I disliked him, especially as the enemy, when you had to fight White Clan Yellow Creek over and over. Yellow Creek just
Yeah, it got
grinded
old
with.
after a while.
Yeah, it was annoying. Bug, bug.
Yeah, well, at least, well, it was probably just on your end then. When I was battling it nonstop, mine was I'm not gonna say he was stupid, but he you could tell he had the dumb because he spent a lot of turns charging Metaforce more than he was doing anything else.
Yeah,
And
mine was
by the time he was
constantly
finally,
charging Bug.
yeah, by the time mine was smart enough to finally figure out, oh hey, I have attacking parts, he was already about 1 second away from being dead.
Yeah.
So aesthetically, however, I do like Yellow Crick's design. The reverse digitigrade leg and the pile the what looked like pile driver spearheads for arms. It's a very unique design overall for
Mm-hmm.
sure. As field control, especially, you generally you can't sneeze at too badly because it's a very useful skill, especially if you build it right. But unfortunately, it's not quite the most not the most meta set out there.
Yeah.
You could still make use of bug for sure, especially if you don't have if you for some odd reason don't have access to virus because it's technically the same ailment, but it's more not I wouldn't say that he's not meta either.
Yeah. Well, at least the bug is useful, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's at least nice to have extra parts for it.
And we also have Himedaka with Adapter, which basically makes his leg comp A with all terrains regardless of the actual type.
Which actually is very good because Hemadacker is actually a sea base leg, which isn't necessarily hard to come by, but sea legs have a. I'm not going to say they're.
A
Yeah,
definitely a lot. Hang on, you're
it's a.
breaking up.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Carry on.
What I was going to say is because Hemadacker is a sea based leg, sea based legs don't have the greatest terrain compatibilities. I mean, Wheeled actually has it the worst, but sea is probably close to that because Hemodacker's Explorer gives it A rank on all terrains, it's basically the sea leg, but with the benefits of the float leg.
Hmm.
So I was actually farming that when I finally called it quits with the event because I really couldn't pass that ability up.
Yep. Okay, we also had Kiru Mashara, which is another fierce battle bot. He's the other chicken, not Crimson King, of course. Oh wait, hang on, he's the monkey.
And that was the monkey,
Duh. Yeah. He has Spearhead, which is a passive heating and cooling bonus to all parts.
which is always really nice.
Hmm.
Not super powerful, but it's nice to have.
And we also had Side Move, another Seed Leg type with Explorer, which has an S terrain with compatible arena terrains, regardless of its actual type.
Which actually makes it. I'm not going to put it on the same level as Hemadacker, but definitely something that you can't pass up either because it actually is a very solid ability. And Arena is also I'm not going to say it's a picky terrain, but if you don't have a good build for it, it can be something very frustrating to deal with, especially if you don't have any wheel legs raised.
Ah, okay. I guess that makes sense.
So
Oh,
both Hemadacker and Side Move were definitely MVPs of last week because of their new leg abilities. It wouldn't if you did have a chance to grind for them, just enough to have them would be enough. Because you could raise them on your own later. But if you weren't grinding the Super Row Battle event, then either of those two you generally could not go wrong with.
yep. And we also had Chrono Rabbit with Auto Charge, which is basically a passive Metaforce charge. Um, charge. A reaction. And Kanaban Bun with Spearhead again.
Yeah, we knew about
Yep, we knew
Kana
about
though with Spearhead because he was the first one to have it.
I think he's the repeat for this week. No, that week.
He is. He was because we've seen him several times prior to, and I think the last time he showed up, he got his ability. I think it was actually very early on not too long after Leg abilities officially went live that he got his.
All right. So next up, oh wait, we already done covered that. Last week we also had Shiden's super battle. The reward was a dragon medal. So if you like fire, I guess that's what you want to go for. Any
Yep,
comments?
very obvious to tell what the motive and potential theme of this medal was. In terms of its overall versatility, normally, or at least the way I
As
consider
far as
medals is
carry on.
normally the way I usually normally consider medals is what can Metaforce 2 offer me, since that's usually the one I'll use the most when it comes to a Metaforce. The passive buffs from Metaforces 1 and 3 will be nice, but I'll usually never willingly pick them if I have a say in it. Because I usually use Metaforce 2 as a last ditch nuking move. Or in the case of my shoot nuker, I will not use Metaforce at all
I mean, it's
because
for the
I
most.
need the
I mean, the thing is that most of the medals we use have thunder or was
Yep.
it shot or oh what
Yep,
shot?
they
I
have much more
forgot.
viable ailments.
Yeah.
Non-evasive, stop, freeze, or not freeze. I think the only fire-based attack that I might have is if I use the fire metal from the Rentaro event.
Yeah.
And even then, I only use it just for the raw AOE damage that it deals. I never really pay attention to it as an actual attacking move because I was using the metal more for compatibility more than
I mean,
Metaforce.
both the
But
Northern Dragon and Fire medals have burning as their second metaphors.
yeah, but overall, this one actually you could make good potential use of it pretty easily.
Just stick it on the
Just
Flame Tisanga. Done.
yeah, yeah. Just know that it won't be offering the greatest of buffs. I mean, the bronze, the berserk metaphors you generally
Not
can't
bad.
sneeze at either because it's a base attack buff to everybody. But And then I also have to say as well that because it's a power nature metal with the red gem, you could potentially use it on a pretty solid nuker and generally not go wrong.
Yep. Though, though still for the memes, he should put it on a flame Tisanga.
Yeah, or some other dragon type when we get more, and which I
Yeah.
anticipate we will at some point.
I mean, Tisanga is the flame dragon, sort of. Oh, hey,
Salamander, but
wait,
yeah.
hang on. That's not flame Tisanga. I was thinking of a different bot. Uh, Fly Falcon. No, not Fly Falcon. Phoenix.
Oh yeah, Phoenix
Oh,
especially, yeah.
even though he's not a
And
dragon.
by coincidence, it is a more or less a perfect match.
Yeah.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it was the reward of last week's super event alongside Medarot Shiden himself, and Yellow Crick as the event rewards. So generally, you wanted to go after grinding it anyway, just enough that you could get Yellow Crick, the
Yeah,
medal, and at least one
161,000
instance of the
points.
Medarotter.
And also, don't
So
go if you, unless you really want to. Don't really go for the 600,000 Cyplesium because it's going to take you all weekend and about 5 straight days of stamina just to get that. Oh yeah, and also with full boost because that's what it took me to get there in the first event.
well, the
And
way
back then
where
too
I'm at now, it actually took me about 3-4 days roughly from the start of the event.
to get to
But then
600,000.
again, but yeah, and apparently, according to me, I have a friend that actually got to it even faster than I did, and I was taking it very casually. But I needed that Cyplasium. I was desperate for it.
Yeah. Anyway, Shiden's Medarot abilities is plus 84 to 393 armor to the head, 38 to 175 success to the left arm, and 28 to 131 power to the right arm.
So overall, a pretty all round and pretty well balanced Medarot. Not definitely not offering the greatest of buffs when it comes to perhaps what he could offer or in terms of how good he is to the meta, but he's definitely nothing to sneeze at
I don't know
either
if you're going
because the
for a
buffs that he
tanky
does.
head. I think he's gonna be pretty much helpful with like, what's the name? Squid Guards. I mean, not Squid Guards. Yeah, is it Squid Guards? The fat one.
Yep,
Yeah.
the big the thick general.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a solid Medarot for sure. I'm gonna kind of put him in the same boat as Arase in this case, where he doesn't necessarily have a specialty, but because he doesn't, he instead excels in that all-around balance, which you
Mm.
can't go wrong with.
Let's see. Yeah, let's just skip that. Anyway, we also got English
It
names
exists.
for
That's it.
Death Crazer, but we're not gonna use Death Crazer. With Dead Crazer, we're gonna use Death Crazer because my translation comes first. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
But we find
honestly, I'm in
yeah,
that instance where both of them sound close enough that I could probably interchange both of them, and I don't really think anyone's gonna care.
yeah. Anyway, so we're finally getting Death Quasar from the end of the second season. Oh, sorry, no, third season. Second season is Beast Chimera, obviously.
Yep,
His kit is
his kit was laser, virus, and melee destroy with
yeah,
G control. I think is a leg ability.
yup. So basically, S terrain compatibility, regardless of leg type, if you reach a Metaforce threshold, which I think makes him
Now,
really powerful.
that especially will make him very very useful. But here's
Especially his
basically how I
kit.
phrased it to friends after looking at the data. Even though this is still technically a nerfed version compared to the boss, which was kind of to be expected, and even though his attacks may not have anything overly broken like Beastmaster's Hyper Beam, Dead Quasar is still most certainly someone to not take lightly
Yeah,
because his head part alone, I'm actually going to put it on the same tier as Prominence, even if it's slightly weaker, because it has three head uses instead of just one, even though it's basic laser. It comes with at base pierce damage by itself. It has a much better heat and cool stat than Prominence, and its base power is actually so close to Prominence's. It's maybe like 20 base power points up or down, and honestly, that is a very negligible difference. But what makes Dead Quasar especially valuable is, I mean, Virus you can generally never go wrong with. We've mentioned that several times. Destroy is Destroy. You generally can't go wrong with that either, as if you know how to gamble it. His leg is actually really, really good because it has a base mobility of about, well, not base, but capped mobility at about 867. And G control actually makes that even better, which means he can go faster while on S rank terrain. But here's where his charm also lies. He's a nuker, he's balanced, but he's tanky.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
He,
he's nothing to sneeze at.
he's more or less now a variant of what happened with Death Providence, where he had such a well-rounded nuker kit, but he also had the HP and the mobility to back it up to where he was one of the few sets you could use as a pure set, and he would generally not fail you.
Yeah. So he's a very good pickup if you can get him.
If you can pull him, he is an absolute. He was definitely an absolute must-have.
And next up, we also have Crimson King, the chicken.
Oh dear, the god of destruction officially has made his return.
Triple destroy, and his leg is a new leg ability, elusive, which reduces enemy incoming damage if they have lower evasion than you.
If yeah, and to specify with this one, however, so that there isn't any kind of any kind of misunderstanding, elusive, much like certain abilities like bullet rain check your target for if you have a certain number of parts more than their target, or so on and so forth. Elusive checks your melee resist stat, and it's actually one of the first abilities I've seen so far anyway that actually pays attention to those stats in terms of any kind of ability. I mean, we have Cross's leg that'll buff them once you reach a certain Metaforce charge.
We also had Charm, which is
right,
opposite sex.
Right. But see, we also have Charm and Fortress, which are just an outright reduction in damage up to a certain point. But this is one of the few abilities that actually pays attention to an individual resist stat. So, and what Crimson Kings does is that if your melee resist stat is lower than your opponent's, who is targeting you, then you take a certain amount of reduced damage.
Then again, to be honest, he already has a very low NT melee stat at 385.
Right. Which means he's gonna be making very good use of it for sure.
No, he's not going to make good use of it.
Well, if it's checking to see if
385 or less.
Ah, I see. So it's checking if they have less.
Yup.
I see. All right, I misunderstood it. I misunderstood it then. Yeah, in that case, it's going to be kind of tricky to use. I think, however, what might compensate for that is the fact that if the records are now correct, he has he now officially has the fastest male leg in the game at a base mobility at about 1021, roughly. If the data is accurate, somewhere in the low thousands.
Yeah, his leg's at 1061.
1061. Oh boy, that's even faster than I thought. Yeah, he's he may not have a really meta ability, for lack of a better term, but he definitely has the speed to back it up.
Yep. All right.
Do not anger the god of destruction. You hear his call, you fear his name. Cluck, cluck, bonk.
Yep. All right. So speaking of which, we got this week some EX battles, which is Death Quasar. His first battle is no defense and no trap or plant parts. His second battle is male Oni. I actually made the mistake of putting female Oni.
No, it's female only. I can confirm.
Okay.
It is.
And enemy battles are limit broken, and the third battle is 1.5 times armor buff and limit broken 250.
Now, at face value, these modifiers are actually very easy to meet, but that's pretty much where the simplicity disappears.
Yeah, because they have the limit broken and you don't.
Well, that too, and this also is the first major instance of all three bots having the broken limit level to 250. And let me just say, Battle 3 of Death Quasar is, I mean, I didn't even attempt the battle. I noped right on out of it after I saw what the lineup was, because it is one of the rare instances where it is all pure sets, but it is Death Quasar, Spenag, and Death Prominence.
Oh no.
On mountain terrain.
Oh, that's even worse.
I took one look at that. I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I'm not ready for this.
You need
nope.
mountain legs and also to be lucky.
You pretty much need to hope and pray that your first turn doesn't absolutely kill you, because they're guaranteed to completely outrun you in the first turn and maybe even your second.
Yeah, it's what's that one? Death. What's the boss at the end of the first one?
I think the first one, Parallel Deuce.
Yeah, it's like Parallel Deuce, except instead of using any leg, you need a level 90 multi-pet leg on pretty much every bot that's fast.
Oh, well, that you need to know going in that you are not going to get first strike.
Nope.
So you need to hope and pray that all three of them decide to not attack or do something that is some kind of non-attacking move if you hope to do anything. Now, once you can get, if you're running a shield, if you can get a shield up to the gate, then you're okay. Maybe. But that also is a reminder that the shield won't last long if you leave Death Quasar alive, because he's got Destroy and he will eat through any shield you put up.
And the other EX battle is Crimson King, as usual. It's no shooting. Sorry, it's no shooting and no flight legs for the first battle. No trap and plant for the second, and limit broken for the medals for the second battle. And the last battle is limit broken with 2 times armor.
All I can say with this one is the God of Destruction has to maintain his dominance somehow.
At least he needs to see level 250 medals.
Oh, no kidding. But honestly, Crimson King doesn't need an overclocked medal to absolutely wreck you.
Yep.
There's a reason the cuckoos are a feared species among the Zelda community, and Medarot only taps into that fear.
Yep. Alright, so this week's fierce battles have Samurai with Endurance, Best Destroyer with Adapter. So now this is our first male Medarot with Adapter, whereas ours has been whereas previously we had what was it called? Side move, which was a female.
The side move was male, Himadaka was female.
Oh wait, yeah, Himadaka was female with Adapter. So this is our first male with Adapter.
Which will definitely make him all the more frustrating, but even more so useful and worth the grind. Albeit you also need to grind that one and handle it with care, because him being all destroy.
Yep. And we also have Shafu, which is our newcomer for this week with Accelerator. Not a new one, but it grants it grants a stack of charge boost every time you use a Metaforce. Every time you charge your Metaforce, which not too bad. I guess
it's not bad. Not the greatest ability, but you can definitely make use of it.
But for his speed though, I think it's a bit slow.
Yeah, Yeah, being in the 600s actually, based on what I've seen, the 600s is kind of your how do I put it? It's more it's more pretty much your average across the line stone. So if you can hit 600, you can get away with it if you absolutely want to use that leg, but just know for the fact that you are going to get outrun by faster opponents.
Yeah.
Your general sweet spot, if you want a decent mobility, is to be in the 700s. That's kind of your middle ground if you want to stay, if you want to keep an edge. Otherwise, switch the legs when you can.
Yep, and we finally, and also we had Falcon XL, which gives him a stat boost every time he performs an action, which is actually a lot more powerful than Accelerator.
Absolutely. Because it's granted upon completing a action. It's not reliant on a specific action.
A stack of shoot boost, and also with Fly Falcon being an air and Medarot, and he packs some power. He packs some punch. That's going to be a very useful tool, a very useful ability.
Absolutely. It's definitely one to consider making good use of.
Okay. Covered that. Okay, and we also had November's everything. November's Meta League schedule, which is next week. The week after next week, actually, is going to be We're going to be Waterside with full sets only. The week after that will be Forest. After that is Wilderness and female only Metabots. And finally, we get a Cyber Week, which is go nuts.
Yep, especially with no modifier. It means bring your strongest sets, bring your best builds, show us what you got.
Yep. Alright, and also next month, we're just getting repeats mostly. Volt Spinner, Lily Madonna, and Augusta on the 5th. The Jangrin, whatever how you pronounce the guinea pig. That's not Mario.
Yeah.
Attack Tyranno and Cyan Dog on the 12th. Himedeka, Fancy Roll, and Flapper Kung Fu on the 19th, and on close to Medarot Day. Actually, it is Medarot Day, if I'm not wrong.
2 days prior, 11/28.
Yeah, we get the entire girls' mission as fierce battles,
which actually is a very first in the game so far. Where we'll have not 3 fierce battles, but 4, and we strongly suspect
we had 6
that
once. You know
that's true.
The 3 Tyrannos and the 3 Orimedas.
That is true. I actually did forget about that. I think they overlapped that week, though, if I recall correctly.
Sorry,
they might have. I think they might have overlapped that week, though, and I think that's why we had 6, but I probably forget.
Yeah. And sorry, what did you say?
So I think my connection spaced out for a minute. I was going to say, I think that week they overlapped between 2 weeks, but I might be mistaken.
No, it was 1 week with 6
okay
at once. It was purposeful.
Yeah, have fun. Yeah, have fun farming that week.
Well, at least we had Fred beat before, so she's not too
bad. Yeah, for sure. But with the other girls, actually, all 4 of the girls have some kind of various bonus that make them all worthwhile. Fret Beat has Beam Sword, of course, so that alone is a very useful tool. Slap Beat, the blue basis type, has Thundershot. Melody Beat has actually a pretty wide range of kit. And then Blast Beat, the drummer, is double Break Hammer.
Okay.
So it'll definitely be nice to see all 4 of them together, especially since we only had 1, and then we were kind of wondering, okay, well, where's the other 3?
Yeah. And also, yeah, what is it called? So I'm just looking up the stats right now. Let's see. So Blast Beat is the tank one with the drums, gut boost, Break Hammer, and Break Hammer. Okay, I'm lost. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, overall, their kits aren't. I'm not gonna say overly meta, but they definitely have a unique build that you could make use of at least one part in any of the sets, or even
Yeah.
put the best of them together to make a good model. But it also makes sense that we're getting all four of these at once because of the hint that we found in the data to mention that we are getting a fifth girl band member
Mm.
coming up on Medarot Day.